Ali Abunimah urges Americans not to ask what Palestinians can do for them, but to consider what they can do to end Gaza's suffering. He rejects conditional solidarity and demands that people move from empty gestures to concrete political actions against U.S. support for occupation. Abunimah highlights how American tax dollars enable Israel's military actions, denying Palestinians justice and fueling violence in Gaza and the West Bank. He calls on U.S. citizens to pressure their government through protests, petitions, and lobbying to cut military aid and conditional support. This demand includes withholding weapons sales, ending diplomatic cover, and supporting legal measures that hold Israel accountable for violations of international law. He emphasizes grassroots action, contacting representatives, joining demonstrations, divesting from complicity, and challenging pro-occupation narratives in communities and social spaces. Abunimah argues that moral outrage must couple with systemic change, shifting U.S. policy toward accountability, ceasefire demands, and equal human rights for Palestinians. He criticizes symbolic gestures, warning they amount to performative activism if they don't result in ending support for occupied oppression. Palestinian voices speak of surviving daily trauma and bombardment. Silence and solidarity rings hollow unless it actively challenges U.S. funding of violence. He urges a historic reckoning. Americans must confront their country's role in enabling daily killings, displacement, and denial of Palestinian rights. Students, faith leaders, and union organizers bear a special responsibility, given their collective power to influence political will and policy change. Abunimah praises young activists who led recent marches, encouraging broader coalitions across justice movements united by equitable human rights frameworks. He stresses that sustained pressure, beyond hashtags and petitions, is required to disrupt entrenched power structures and shift U.S. foreign policy. The essay frames U.S. complicity as deliberate, based on policies benefiting from the weaponization of Palestinians' oppression for geopolitical aims. Abunimah calls for solidarity budgets, organizing to end arms transfers and enforce legal restrictions to stop the funding of occupation forces. He urges Americans to remember other justice struggles, civil rights, anti-apartheid, where sustained domestic pressure helped dismantle oppressive systems abroad. The struggle for Palestinian rights, he says, demands unity across racial, economic, and environmental movements to build transformative global solidarity. He cautions against letting corporate media narratives overshadow documented experiences of Palestinians living under siege and systematic violence in Gaza. Abunimah insists that ending military aid is a moral, not partisan, imperative, rooted in truth, justice, and international law. He concludes by reminding readers, Palestine's freedom depends on U.S. civic engagement, people using their power to stop American-enabled suffering in Gaza.